Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Warhammer 40k, a universe so dark that you have to interact with people outside of your normal group. Last time we talked about the Grey Knights, the demon hunters of the Imperium, and a military branch of the Ordo Malleus. Now, we are still stuck in the Inquisition space, but instead of demons, it's aliens. The Death Watch, an army of space marines that feels really strange for a space marine army. Now, you might be asking, where are the Black Templars? Well, they are too small of an army to talk about, and it's just marines that play like orcs. And Death Watch is a bigger beast to handle. So, yeah, let's get into it.
We weren't expecting special forces. Well, maybe if you dipshits could deal with some fucking bears with sticks, we could be somewhere else.
The Death Watch organization can trace its founding back to Millennium 32, 1,000 years after the events of the Horus Heresy. A war broke out called the War of the Beast, with a massive orc Waaagh that grew to prominence while the Imperium was busy rebuilding and dealing with the aftershocks of the Horus Heresy. The Imperium nearly collapsed during this war, as the orcs had become so powerful and dangerous that they had started making Death Star moons out of literal moons. It took everything the Imperium had to stop the beast and his Waaagh, and although the Imperium would win in the end, it was a Pyrrhic victory at best. After the war, and taking stock about what happened, the Space Marines, Inquisition, and High Lords came to an agreement. There had to be a group that could keep an eye on alien forces throughout the galaxy, so that something like the Beast could never happen again. This force would be made up of Space Marines. However, the caveat is that it has to be a volunteer force, made up of Marines from wildly different chapters, that would be paired together and act as a first strike group who can assassinate or dismantle alien warlords and/or empires who could threaten the Imperium. To be recruited for the Death Watch, one must show a proficiency in battle and a hatred for aliens that is controlled and tempered. When selected, with permission from the chapter's leadership and the consent of the Marine, they will be taken to one of the many watch fortresses throughout the galaxy, where he will be trained along with a fellow squad of Marines made up of Marines from other chapters. Rarely will two Marines from the same chapter be deployed together. Once the new kill team has their problems ironed out and sees each other as brothers, they will take on the black and silver colors of the Death Watch, with their right shoulder pad bearing their chapter insignia and colors. Then, the kill team will be deployed alone, or with a strike force of similar units, on special operations missions. After a Marine fulfills his service to the Watch, he is allowed to keep the silver shoulder pad, but is sworn to secrecy about his training and the operation he went on. Only allowed to break the secrecy if his chapter's leadership demands him to speak up and use his experience in desperate times. The Death Watch in modern 40k is not okay! Though the new Primaris Marines have been a massive boost to their ranks, and have been a much-needed multiplier on the field of battle, while the threats of the aliens and the forces of chaos sabotaging them, the Death Watch is hard-pressed on all sides. But they will not stand by, as their watch is eternal, and they will stand against the threat of the Xenos, no matter what hole they crawl out of. Let's get into the army.
Should we judge him for what he likes?
Boy. Yes.
The Death Watch are a really strange army compared to others. They are a Marine army that uses the Oath of Moment rule from Codex Space Marines. However, Death Watch gets the unique rules of kill teams. Basically, this rule makes it so that any and all members of a kill team are infantry when moving through or over terrain, and that you use the stats of the majority of models within a unit. But what the hell does that mean? A kill team is a unit that is made up of different sets of Space Marine models. Firstborn units can be made up of regular Marines, with a mix of Terminators, Veteran Bikes, or Jetpack units. Another unit called Fortis can be made up of Intercessors and Hellblasters. There are two other units that can be made up of various other models as shown here. though the maximum of each unit is 10 Marines, and the kill team will always start with a base of 5 regular Marines of their variants. You can pretty much customize and mess around with squads however you wish. Let's get into your units now.
Last group thought it'd be funny, shove a corn cob up a trainee's bunghole! And you know what happened? They were asked to leave politely, and it was awkward for everyone!
You aren't stuck with kill teams being your main driving force. You get access to regular veteran squads, Terminator squads, and bike squads. Veteran squads are simply made up of regular Marines that are the equivalent to Stern Guard and Vanguard squads within the regular Space Marine Codex. Veterans can be outfitted with a mix of whatever weapons you want, letting you have a flexible and dangerous unit that can be built for range support or a dangerous and tough melee unit. Terminators and bikes are your more dedicated elite and fast units respectively. They have a little less flexibility than the veteran squad, but are much tougher and bring more firepower and speed to your army. Deathwatch Terminators also get the unique privilege of having up to 3 special weapons in their unit, and have a mix of melee weapons. So you can dedicate the unit to being a heavy weapons unit, or a pure melee unit if you wish, giving you a better Terminator unit than vanilla Marines get.
Hope you've enjoyed your first stage of training, ladies! And boys, I'm not sexist. I sure do hope you made plenty of friends. Because now you need to try and kill them.
Kill teams, as I said before, are where things get strange. As I said earlier, they are mixed units with varying stats and weapons, and are all treated as infantry when moving together. Yeah, you have to use the stats of the majority of models within the unit, so if you have 5 intercessors and 1 outrider, the outrider uses the toughness and movement of the intercessors. This can seem really limiting, but in reality, this makes kill teams some of the most flexible units a Space Marine army can field. Kill teams come in different variants, ranging from the Firstborn only Proteus squad, which is a squad that can have Terminators, Firstborn Marines, bikes, and jetpacks, while Fortis kill teams are made up of Primaris Marines, ranging from Outriders, Assault Intercessors, and Hellblasters, as well as other kill team units made up of the heavier Gravis units and Phobos units, though each unit is forced to start with 5 Marines made up of the vanilla units, and you can only have up to a max of 10 men per unit. It leads to extremely flexible series of units that you can build to your specific requirements.
FBI, open up!
Luckily for you, Deathwatch gets access to regular Space Marine vehicles, so you have access to everything from Land Raiders to Gladiators. However, Deathwatch also gets their own unique flying transport, the Corvus Blackstar, an equivalent of the Storm Raven that can carry 12 models from any unit in your army. Sure, some models take up more space than others, but no other army can say they have a transport that can carry all model types in their army. It's also a pretty good weapons platform, being able to customize it to clear out hordes of infantry and make a path for your unloading infantry, or to be anti-tank and make it a tank or monster hunter for your army. It isn't expensive either, so if you can, don't sleep on this guy. It's a pretty good thing to bring.
Excellent comeback there, Jaeger Bombastic. How will you follow suit, Yanni boy?
Now, Deathwatch doesn't have much for characters. They do have access to chaplains, librarians, and other HQ units that vanilla Space Marines do, but they get 2 unique ones, the Watchmaster and Captain Artemis. The Watchmaster is your captain/chapter master for your army, being a fairly decent unit to bring for regular veteran and Proteus units, though he does want the unit he joins to be built for melee, as he gives the unit the ability to charge even after advancing or falling back. And if he is your warlord and is on the table, once per game, if your opponent is going to use a stratagem, you can make that stratagem 1 command point more expensive for the rest of the game, making him a pretty dangerous unit on the table. Then there is Captain Artemis, a unique Marine captain who has a flamethrower with anti-infantry 4+ and devastating wounds, making him a scary-ass ranged character. He also proves to be rather tough to put down, as he has a 6+ feel no pain, and the first time he's knocked down, he can get back up on a 2+ with 1 wound remaining. Sure, he can only join Proteus and veteran squads, but if you give him a unit that is built to support him, you get one hell of a dangerous and tough flamethrower to throw around.
This right here is my favorite thing ever. In the history of forever. I think about this every day. I think about this all night long. I stay awake, not sleeping, because I'm thinking about this.
Though my poor Ultramarines lost our chaplain Cassius, Deathwatch for some baffling reason not only got him, but also a crew of his homies to come and be a problem on the table. Kill Team Cassius is a wild, chimeric unit, having a bike, Terminator, jetpack, chaplain, and librarian in the unit. This unit cannot be customized in any way. Only Cassius and the Terminator have an invulnerable save, and it seems like an extremely wild-ranged and melee unit. If you are willing to work with it, you get a unit that gets devastating wounds in melee and some of the most unique and coolest-looking Marine models in the entire Space Marine line.
I've been staring at this all day, I still don't get it.
And that's the Deathwatch. A very weird, very flexible, very strange Black Ops army. With how the Deathwatch is right now, it is a very fluffy army, and it's really fun to run and build. But don't expect to win many games with them, as they are forced to run Oath of Moment, and lack a lot of their own identity right now. However, Deathwatch proves to be a very fun army, and perfect for 40k's other games like Kill Team and the role-playing game named after them, letting your D&D loving players build their own Deathwatch Marines, however they wish. Thanks for watching, and when we come back, it's the last army in 40k that we need to talk about, and the Army Guide series will be done. The Wolves of Fenris are coming. Thanks for watching.